The historical trajectory of silver reveals a profound disconnect between physical utility and monetary status over the last 2 millennia. While gold has maintained a remarkably consistent relationship with purchasing power across centuries, silver tells a story of systematic political demotion and eventual industrial rebirth. In ancient Rome, an ordinary legionary earned 1 silver denarius per day, a coin weighing approximately 3 grams or 1/10 of a troy ounce. Archaeological evidence from Pompeii suggests this single silver coin could purchase between 12 and 16 loaves of bread, representing a day of survival on the frontier. In the modern economy, that same tenth of an ounce is valued at approximately $8, which struggles to purchase more than 2 or 3 loaves of bread. This 6-fold collapse in purchasing power suggests that silver did not lose its value through market failure, but was instead stripped of its status by deliberate government intervention. Gold was historically reserved for kings and state treasuries, whereas silver functioned as the currency of the people, measuring the daily life of soldiers, farmers, and merchants. The use of silver as money predates the invention of coinage, with Mesopotamian merchants utilizing weighed pieces of silver as early as 500 years before Christ. The first standardized coins appeared in Lydia around 630 BC, leading to the creation of a bimetallic system where gold handled large transactions and silver facilitated daily commerce. The Roman denarius, introduced around 211 BC, became the most significant silver coin in history, supporting an economy that spanned 3 continents. Under the reign of Emperor Augustus, a legionary's annual salary of 225 denarii equated to roughly 9 ounces of pure silver per year. An ounce of silver at that time could sustain a small family with basic bread for an entire month, illustrating that silver was the currency of survival rather than idle wealth. However, the Roman Empire eventually engaged in the systematic debasement of its currency, reducing the silver purity of the denarius from 95% to just 5% over 3 centuries. This dilution of the metal's purity caused the purchasing power of a single coin to drop from 16 loaves of bread to just 1, marking an early historical instance of state-driven inflation. Following the collapse of Rome, silver continued to serve as the primary medium of exchange in Western Europe, eventually forming the basis of Charlemagne's monetary reforms. The British pound sterling was originally defined as a literal pound weight of silver pennies, a system that dominated for nearly 1,000 years. By the 13th century in England, a skilled stonemason earned a few pennies per day, meaning an ounce of silver represented about 5 to 7 days of labor. The discovery of the rich mountain at Potosi in 1545 introduced a massive influx of silver into the global economy, totaling tens of thousands of tons over 3 centuries. The Spanish minted this metal into the piece of 8, which became the world's first truly global reserve currency. Accepted from London to Canton, this era of globalization saw silver acting as the bloodstream of international trade, with the Chinese economy specifically demanding silver in exchange for silk and tea. The linguistic roots of modern currencies, including the dollar, yuan, and yen, can all be traced back to this period of silver dominance. The 19th century marked the beginning of silver's legal execution, initiated by Isaac Newton's 1717 decision to overvalue gold in England, which pushed silver out of circulation. In the United States, the dollar was legally defined in 1792 as 371 grains of pure silver, establishing the metal as the foundation of the American monetary system. However, the Coinage Act of 1873, later dubbed the Crime of 1873, omitted the silver dollar from the list of authorized coins, effectively demonetizing the metal. This single paragraph of legislation triggered the Long Depression, causing falling prices and bank failures that devastated farmers and workers. The political struggle for silver reached a climax in 1896 with William Jennings Bryan's Cross of Gold speech, which argued against the crucifixion of mankind upon a gold-only standard. The Gold Standard Act of 1900 eventually made gold the official monetary foundation, legally retiring a metal that had served as money for 5,000 years. Throughout the 20th century, silver was systematically removed from the pockets of citizens, culminating in the 1965 Coinage Act, which replaced silver quarters with copper-nickel sandwiches. A silver quarter from 1964 contains metal worth approximately $15 today, whereas a modern quarter of the same name and shape has 60 times less real value. When the Hunt brothers attempted to corner the silver market in the late 1970s, the price exploded to nearly $50 before the rules were changed mid-game to crash the market. For decades following that crash, silver was largely ignored by the financial system, trading at historic lows relative to gold. While gold is hoarded and remains in existence within vaults, silver is unique because it is consumed by modern industry. Roughly 60% of current silver demand is industrial, as the metal possesses the highest electrical and thermal conductivity of any element. Silver has become the indispensable DNA of the 21st century economy, required for solar panels, electric vehicles, and 5G infrastructure. A single solar panel requires between 8 and 20 grams of silver, and the solar industry's consumption of the global supply is projected to reach 20% by 2030. Electric vehicles require double the silver of internal combustion engines, and the growth of data centers for AI is further accelerating demand. Supply is severely constrained because 70% of silver is mined as a byproduct of copper, zinc, and lead, making it difficult to increase production independently of other metals. The global silver market has faced 4 consecutive years of structural deficits, with consumption exceeding production by hundreds of millions of ounces. Unlike gold, silver that enters an industrial product is often unrecoverable, meaning it disappears from the available stock atom by atom. By February 2026, silver reached a value of $80 per ounce, narrowing the gap between modern wages and the silver earnings of ancient Roman centurions. The broken bread test for silver proves that its loss of purchasing power was not a natural occurrence, but a result of political agreements that favored gold. Money is not a physical thing, but a social and political consensus. And silver was the victim of a consensus that changed over a single generation. Today, silver is transitioning from a demoted currency to a critical infrastructure bottleneck that the global economy cannot function without. The question for the future is no longer about the legal status of silver as money, but whether there is enough physical supply to sustain modern civilization. According to the editor's opinion, the story of silver serves as a stark warning about the fragility of what we perceive as value. It is evident that for 5,000 years, silver was the most successful form of money because it was accessible to the common person and held intrinsic utility. The fact that a series of legislative acts in the late 19th and 20th centuries could erase 5 millennia of monetary tradition suggests that our financial foundations are far more arbitrary than we are led to believe. While gold is often praised for its stability, this stability appears to be a manufactured privilege protected by central banks that continue to hold it as a reserve. Silver was discarded not because it failed to work, but because it was too abundant to be easily controlled by a centralized gold-backed system. Ironically, the 21st century's technological dependence on silver has created a new kind of money by necessity that no government can legislate away. As we move toward a world powered by renewable energy and high-speed data, the physical properties of silver may eventually override the political decisions of the past. In conclusion, silver remains the most honest measure of the intersection between human labor and the physical reality of the planet.